Hey guys, my name is Nick and welcome back to the channel, and in this video we are continuing on with our road to the Dark Zones. That's the Warhammer 40K campaign I'm attending in September. Now, you may have remembered from the first video I sort of went through what a campaign is, why we're attending. There's a whole bunch of us going from the local area, sort of 22, 23-ish from my local sort of gaming area that are all attending. And we're all attending, representing various different factions at the campaign. Now they could be Imperium, Chaos, or the Invaders, which are basically anyone who is a Xenos race. So a fair while ago I came up with my original concept of my 500-point combat patrol and my 1750 main army. I've been playtesting it for a couple of months and it is dreadful. And so I've been rapidly rebuilding and relisting and taking a good hard look at what I want to take, what isn't going to be considered a tournament list, what is more themed, what is more appropriate for the narrative of the event. And that's pretty much where I've got to, really. I've been working heavily on the two lists and making sure that I've got the models ready to go. And we're in a pretty much of a countdown now. We've got about 7 weeks to run until the event. I think I mentioned in my first video, I've got about 37, 38 odd models that I need to paint. That's quite a lot of basing, quite a lot of painting, and obviously the assembly. Now, I have already bought all of the models required, so that's half of the challenge is waiting for delivery times. I've got all of those, and I've been hard at work rebuilding my Thousand Sons / Tzeentch / Demons list that I'm planning on taking. So let's take a look at where we're at. So here is the end of week 1's progress then. So this is 15 Zangors, including the Brayhorn there. They've got their first 2 coats of blue applied after being primed. Then we've got 6 Enlightened. These are the guys that ride discs. They are primed only. And just in the background there are my first 5 Zangors that are fully complete other than their basing. And I'm pretty happy with the way they've turned out. I've probably spent a bit too much time on those guys considering they're 7 points each, but there we go. There's the Shaman and there's a couple of discs already. Now I'm converting up my cultists from the Acolyte boxes and using some of the auto pistols and stuff I've got floating around. And 4 more discs all ready to go into the prime box. I think the Acolyte models suit it a bit better than the standard cultist models. Lots of paint all on the go. Now just over in the airbrush booth over here are all the bases that I need to do. Now I'll put a link up in the corner just so you can go and see my basing tutorial and how these are working. Let's have a quick closer look at the leader of the Zangors. He's pretty much done. Well, in fact, they're all done to the level that I'm happy with. So they've all got 2 stages of highlights and everything else. The Mutalith Vortex Beast, this is now primed. You can see it's in 3 pieces, ready to paint. There'll be a bit of airbrush action on that very shortly. He's a bit of a weird one to have in the army, but I'm looking forward to having him included. Now, some of the painted stuff I've already got. So these are the 2 sorcerers that I'm going to be running, but I am going to be running them on disc. So I do need to remove them from their bases and then paint up some discs for them to go on, and I'll probably magnetise at that point. Now, this is the guy that you've recently seen in a battle report against Idic Beer, but he was riding a Screamer Chariot before. He is now just on a disc. So I did make sure that the disc was removable from the chariot, and I can just place him on a regular stem base for him to go into battle as one of those. Now, the other part of the painted element is the Flamer section from my Tzeentch Demons. So this is 8 Flamers and then 2 Exalted Flamers. And these will be receiving the strength buff from the nearby Herald that I just showed you a second ago. But they can also be interspersed amongst my other forces. So I'm looking forward to giving them a go, to be honest. I've never used the Exalteds in a game. Now, the other part of the contingent is some Thousand Sun Rubric Marines. You can see here, these have been painted for some time now as part of my Thousand Suns project. It's a good chance to get these into the list. Now, I may add a couple of Warp Flamers into this unit, I'm not sure yet, just see how points go with that. Then finally, the Forge Fiend, he is also painted. There's a good showcase that I've done on him already on the channel, and I'll put a link up in the corner for you guys to go and have a look at some decent photos of this big beast. So there we go then, guys. That is the run through of the army progress so far, where we're at, what's completed, what's not completed. Now, I'm not going to put my full list up on screen just yet. I'm going to do that towards the end of this little mini-series, so you can see exactly what's going to be taken to the event. I'm not fussed about people seeing my list. I just think it'll be a nice end point to the series. Now, if you do want to see how badly my previous list did, feel free to go and check out this battle report over at Idic Nick Beer's channel. We played a couple of weeks ago with my Tzeentch Demons against his Tesla Necrons, and you can go and see just how shockingly bad they did over there. You can see how I've evolved the list, and you can see the different units that I'm now taking. But the astute amongst you will notice that although I'm not taking the same units, there are units that fulfill very similar functions to that old list in this new list build. So I'm not losing necessarily functionality, I'm just making it a little bit more effective so that both me and my opponent will actually get a sensible game out of it, and that we can both contribute to the flow of the narrative and enjoy the campaign as we play with each other, not against each other. Now, that's one of the big differences between a tournament and a campaign, playing with your opponent so that you can actually contribute to the narrative and the flow of the weekend, rather than just sit there trying to, you know, completely outstomp your opponent with meta formulated net lists that you've downloaded and just gone and bought to try and win. That's not the aim of the game. The aim of the game is to play with and enjoy the event as much as you can. And obviously you want to contribute to some wins, but you know, if you have a couple of bad games, it may or may not affect the flow of the faction. You're fighting as a combined force of players and trying to influence the narrative, and that will be set by the events team, and I'm very much looking forward to the story arc that they're going to be carving for us as we battle over the Tenebris system. But I hope you enjoyed this little catch-up video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I shall catch you guys on the next video.